presentation will explore information provided by Chapter 11 in Fostering Self-Regulated Learning through ICT. This chapter is entitled Evaluating Web Content for Self-Directed Language Learning and was authored by Yoko Harada. This chapter provided context for, details, and results of a study conducted in Japan with the purpose of examining how Japanese students perceived two different approaches of online self-directed language learning. The chapter introduces and explains the cultural context of traditional Japanese learning, which is not autonomous, and the subsequent impacts on learners being able to self-regulate their own English language learning through online resources, recently recognized as one of the most effective methodologies by which to learn a new language. Modern pedagogy agrees that students who have the opportunity to be actively and directly involved in their own learning understand their target language more clearly. The development of personal autonomy and responsibility and the improvement of language skills are closely connected according to research. This, combined with the general effectiveness of online language learning, suggests the efficacy of this approach. However, in general, Asian cultural factors can impede this style of learning. Culturally, students are not autonomous. Education is teacher-centered and controlled, with limited avenues for creativity, independence, and imagination. In Japanese secondary schools, the focus is on rote memorization. Students do not typically initiate learning or possess the skills to choose appropriate resources for their preferences and needs. Data-driven language learning is based upon observing, hypothesizing, and experimenting. This helps students to raise awareness of their own language learning skills and strategies. It encourages them to pay attention to such things as language patterns and authentic contexts, such as scientific, conversational, and journalistic. This helps the students to make reasonable conclusions about structural rules of words without help from an instructor. A computer program called a concordancer is used to search for and extract all occurrences of a word or phrase in a database, associating with a keyword in context. This approach helps students gain extensive, authentic knowledge of words, frequency, and reliability. It's especially important for students, such as those in our case study, who have little opportunity to be exposed to the authentic target language in their daily lives. However, this language data is usually limited to institutions with large authentic language databases. The argument to reduce barriers and introduce web-derived data into the classroom for language learning has been made, with possible benefits like increased intellectual curiosity, language knowledge, and intrinsic motivation. This case study aimed to examine how Japanese students perceived two different approaches of self-directed language learning. One group utilized a research-based approach, which included data-driven language learning based on observing, hypothesizing, and experimenting. Another group used a non-research-based approach. This study aimed to answer two questions. What are the benefits and problems of students' evaluation of the websites for the purpose of promoting their own learning? And how can data-driven language learning affect students' evaluation and motivation to complete their tasks, having confidence in doing so? A total of 55 students participated in the study. All were full-time students between the ages of 18 to 20, with the traditional Japanese teacher and textbook-centric educational experience, which led some to depend more on the instructor in the computer room, where the classes took place over a 15-week period. Course A students participated in the research-based evaluation project. In its first phases, instructors gave students guidance on how to analyze language data in relevant websites. Teachers gave examples of websites as practical options to choose from. Students created language data from web resources, such as English texts, scripts, and online practices. They compiled data by dragging web pages into text documents. All three stages of data-driven learning were performed: observing various English expressions, hypothesizing possible explanations of their findings, and experimenting with lexical patterns. A concordance program called LEX was used to search for and extract occurrences of a word or phrase, as seen in Figure 1. Students analyze word usage and patterns. For example, noting instances and context of the word have. In the second phase, students evaluated English as a second language websites to evaluate their quality and usefulness. While provided an initial list of websites, students would later have to self-select appropriate resources at the planning stage for their own study. They used three major criteria for this evaluation: navigability, achievable challenge, and attractiveness. Course B students completed the non-research-based website evaluation project. They did not complete the first phase that students in Course A did. That is, they did not use computer programs to analyze occurrences of words or utilize the Lex Concordance program. The second phase of the project was the same for both groups, where they analyzed websites of their own choosing for quality and appropriateness based on the three major criteria of navigability, attractiveness, and achievable challenge. Both groups also completed the course by filling out an evaluation form and making comments on any perceived advantages or disadvantages of the program. Students completed a 17-item Japanese language questionnaire that gathered information about their attitude toward the task of website evaluation. A 10-point Likert scale was used, with 1 representing strongly disagree and 10 representing strongly agree. There were a large degree of different opinions, even among the students who found the project valuable. Many who were able to use and appreciate website features rated the project highly. The more students understand the detail of the website's features, the more confident they are to get involved with future development. Many students found the project challenging but valued the criteria. Even the students who had never used English websites were able to understand features of search engines and use of websites. There was a sizable correlation of students who rated the project highly and rated the effectiveness of this project for their future development and the creation of websites by themselves. The results from both groups suggest an overall positive response, and that students were successful in the objective of being able to regulate their own learning for their own study. With the help of the three criteria of navigability, achievable challenge, and attractiveness, it was easy for the students to evaluate the websites. Students in the research-based group benefited from completing the two tasks, both the data-driven learning activities and the website evaluation task. They had a greater understanding of how they should improve their language skills. Observing, hypothesizing, and experimenting can be highly beneficial for students in accordance with the results of student strategies for self-regulated approaches and shows that they are not merely passive learners. Findings also show that some students struggled heavily with a twofold project without direct support from an instructor before they discovered the benefits of the project for their own study. With the help of the teacher, many students could be trained to complete the project and make choices to determine what worked and what did not work for their own language skill development. Understanding individual student needs and behavior in different learning environments is critical for an effective instructor. This study revealed the benefits of students engaging in the planning, monitoring, and evaluation of their learning. Students who practice metacognition often experience more success and ownership of their own skills and learning. An effective instructor will give students opportunities to engage in these activities and plays an important role in motivating students to initiate and persist with those tasks. Moving forward, teaching systems should be developed with the goal of accommodating and promoting individual needs, preferences, and learning styles so that students can develop self-regulated learning skills and self-efficacy.